Hello everyone, my name is Hasif Aiman. I'm matrix code 2021117541. I'm from group EH2432B, Oil and Gas Engineering, and today I will be doing assessment 2, and my topic will be about child soldiers. So what is a child soldier actually? A child soldier is defined by the Convention of the Right of the People of a Child. Is a group of people that is associated to military organizations such as state armed group or non-state armed group. Throughout history and many cultures, children have been involved in military campaign. For example, thousands of children participated on all sides of the First World War and the Second World War. Children may be trained and used for combat, assigned to support roles such as porters or the messengers, or used as for tactical advantage as human shield or for potential advantage in the propaganda. Even with the international treaties that limits the use of military against children, it is impossible to know how many children are associated with armed conflict around the world. Between 2005 and 2018, a total of 65,000 children are verified to have recruited by the armed force and group, but the actual members are much likely to be higher than that, as much as hundreds of thousands of children, to be honest. Child soldiers are boys and girls who are often abducted by and used as combatants, forced to act as human shield or conduct executions. It is sometimes deployed as suicide bombers or used to make or transport explosive. Other roles can be included: working as a guard, spies, messengers, porters, or domestic servant. Many children, more often girls, are subjected to sexual abuse and exploitations, while some are forced into child marriage as brides for the fighter. Girls forcibly married in this way are frequently abandoned, divorced, or left widowed if they are not killed or maimed themselves. Throughout the history, children have been recruited often by force and used in a military campaign. The children soldier may considered cheaper to recruit and train, more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse, or strategically useful, such as the use of girls for horrific suicide attack by Boko Haram in Nigeria. An armed group often use gender recruitment tactic, including hyper-masculine ideology and imagery that equate power with violence, promise of sexual reward, and wives for soldiers. Perhaps we should start with one of the most from the child soldiers from the World War II. Particularly, it came from Germans. But, the name of such group is called Hitlerjugend or Hitlerjugend. I don't know how to pronounce German. It means in English Hitler Youth. It is established in the closing day of the World War II. What is new to the extent is which children can be found in the modern battlefield. Several factors have led to this rise of the child soldiers. First, children in modern conflicts. Conflict zones are more easily recruited, and as the social structures around them is deteriorate at time. This is particularly the case in the long protected conflict and in the part of Africa where AIDS epidemic will have created 40 million orphans by 2010. The majority of child soldiers volunteer, though they often to do so because it is their best option for survival. Others enlist to exact revenge after their family are abused or murdered. Second, weapons have become smaller, lighter, and easier to carry. And as it is easy to carry, it become more lethal over time. 10-year-olds can also learn to effectively fire an AK-47 in half of an hour. Third, despot and warlord regularly use children as effective, cheap, and expendable fighters. So, what exactly happened to child soldiers? Since the Mecca report, further research has shown that a child who survived armed conflict face a markedly elevated risk of debilitating psychiatric interests, like poor literacy and numeracy, and sometimes, most often, behavioral problems. Research in Palestine and Uganda, for example, has found more than 4 child soldiers showed symptoms of post-traumatic disorder, and nearly 9 in 10 in Uganda screened positive for depressed mood. Researchers in Palestine also found that children exposed to high level of violence in armed conflict were substantially more likely than other children to exhibit aggression and antisocial behavior. The combined impact of this effect typically includes a high risk of poverty and lasting unemployment in adulthood. So, other research also found that enlistment of children, including older children, also have detrimental impact even though they were not used in armed conflict. Military academics in the US have characterized military training at old age as intense indoctrination in conditions of sustained stress, the primary purposes of which is to establish unconditional and immediate obedience of recruits. The academic literature has been found that adolescents are more vulnerable than adults to high-stress environments, such as that of initial military training, particularly those from the background of childhood adversity. Enlistment, even before the recruit ascent to war, is accompanied by the higher risk of attempted suicide in US, higher risk of mental disorder in US and UK, higher risk of alcohol misuse, and higher risk of violent behavior relative to the recruit pre-enlistment background. Military settings are also characterized of elevated rate of bullying and sexual harassment. In the past 2 decades, thousands of boys and girls have been freed as a result of the action and plan mandated by the United Nations Security Council. Launched in March 2014, the campaign Children Not Soldiers is working to galvanize support to end and prevent recruitment of the children by national security force in conflict. It is particularly focused in Afghanistan, Chad, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Yemen, all of which have signed UN Action Plan. The UN Secretary General's 2017 report on children on armed conflict said there have been several positive moves. That includes armed groups in the Democratic Republic in Congo and in the Philippines are being delisted, and signing of a peace agreement in Colombia that included a special agreement on the release and reintegration of the children into the modern society. Efforts are being made to support the release of the children in this country to civilian life and to help integrate them, as well as plans to prevent future recruitment of children. The measures are being taken around the world to prevent children to become soldiers in the future. It is important to establish and enforce 18 as minimum age for recruitment. The majority of states have already done this, and many non-state groups have done so too. The international political efforts continue to encourage all groups to do likewise. I think that's all about my speech. Thank you for listening, and happy 8 days.